do know that I speak for everyone who's been involved in this case when I say that our hearts are with Gannon's family and his friends. Ever since news broke that Gannon's body was found in Florida, we've been inundated with inquiries from the press and the public. This will address only what has taken place as a result of that development in this case. As I've said in the past, we will not try this case in the media.
So back on March 20th, just a few days ago, with all this coronavirus going on and everybody being told to shelter in, it seems like it was 2 weeks ago that this news came out. But I did post that he had been found on the Missing Persons of America Facebook page, but I really didn't talk to anybody about it. I didn't put it on YouTube. I guess like a lot of people, there's so much going on with the coronavirus and it was a little bit overwhelming. But I wanted to go back and say a few things about this case. And a lot of this is my own editorial opinion on this. But let me start with the facts, all right? Now, like I said, on March 20th, Gannon remains were tentatively identified. And usually you'll hear rumors that someone was found, but you won't hear it from the coroner or the police that was positively found. But it was kind of different that they said tentatively identified, because usually they'll just keep that close to their chest until they know more. But this is how it came out by the media. And what really got everybody was the fact that he was found in Pensacola on Wednesday. And Pensacola, I put down here, it's about 1,400 miles from Colorado Springs to Pensacola. Now, there's not much information about this. There's a gag order in place for a lot of this information. I don't know if we're going to hear too much other than a sprinkling here and there about this case. We can do a lot of theories about what happened. I'm showing a map here on the blog that I'm looking at in Colorado Springs down to Pace, Florida. That was the city that he was found. That's a long, long ways. And the first thing I thought of, and what everybody else was thinking about, what? A lot of people have assumed that Gannon's stepmother, Leticia, is responsible for his death, and also the police have arrested her and have charged her for his death. And if you're going to go along with that train of thinking that she's solely responsible for his death, you have to go back and kind of play in your mind, where the heck was she during this time period? How in the world? I thought she was in Colorado Springs this whole time until just before she was arrested, when she was over in South Carolina. And I never heard of it. I looked at the map and she would have to go through Texas, and let me see, what are the couple other ones? Louisiana, to get over there to Florida. And that's a long drive. It's a long drive. You can't, I suppose you could. I suppose if you, I don't know, were taking amphetamine or something like that to keep you awake, I suppose you could do it. Just drive all day and all night, and you could eventually get there in a couple of days. But most people would stop several times and then in a hotel. And I just can't imagine, if you've got a dead child in the trunk of your car, you're going to stop at hotels on the way. It just blows my mind to think that somebody would do that, but I've heard weirder things. It's also very interesting where the body was found, and it shows a picture. I'll show it up here. And as you can see, it is kind of like an off-ramp there, and then there's underneath there is, I believe, water and rocks. So did his body wash up into that area? Did the water take him down to that area and it stopped? Or did somebody crawl down in there and put his body in there? Now, him being 11 years old, he would approximately be, what would you say, 50 to 75 pounds? Could a woman pick up his body and take him down there? I suppose you could. I think you could. I think I could. It wouldn't be an easy job, but you could. But if it was a man doing it, there'd be there definitely would be able to take that person there. I have heard rumors that his body was found in a suitcase. If that was the case, it would be I think, a bit easier to do, but maybe not because you have dead weight. But I don't know if that's true or not. If he was found in a suitcase with the gag order, we don't know. Let me see if there was anything else that I haven't told you about this. They've added charges on to Leticia now after his body was found, and the charges were using a blunt force instrument, a gun, and a knife.
In addition to that, I filed 8 counts of crime of violence for the alleged use of a firearm, a blunt instrument, a knife or other sharp object, and for causing the death of Gannon Stauch.
Now, they're not saying if they're saying she did all 3 or if she did 1. Now, why did they add all 3? I don't know. I'm sure there's a game plan they had there. Maybe right now they're not sure how he was killed. And so in order to cover every possibility, they added blunt force instrument and then a knife and then a gun. I don't know. Also, we wonder if it's been a while. We don't know what the condition of the body was. We don't know if it was, well, we know it'd be decomposing, but how much, we don't know. But it doesn't matter. They're still going to be able to figure out how he died. I'm almost positive they will be able to figure that out. The whole thing is horrible, horrible. I look at her picture and I just cannot believe that somebody could be that cold-hearted and do that to a child that has nothing to do with anything, just being a kid, a good kid, and for this to happen to him. I do think if there was any kind of motive, in my own opinion here, if there was any kind of motive, I would think that this was a way that she just hated, that Leticia just hated Gannon's mother and think of no better way to get back at her than to kill her child. I think that was her motive. It could have been an accident. She could have accidentally killed him, but we won't know. And we're not going to know for quite a while. And that was the other point I was going to make. I followed the McStay trial. That was the family of 4 that were killed. Their bodies were found in the California desert, the 2 children and the parents. And I followed it pretty closely because I was involved in the case somewhat because I was talking to Patrick McStay, who was the father of Joey McStay. And there were some other reasons that I was involved with the case too, and I did a lot of talking with him. And one of the things that I did find that I didn't know before was that the length that this all takes. I believe it was approximately from the time they were found in the desert, 5 years. 5 years until the end of the trial, which just happened late last year. So this is likely what's going to happen with Gannon's case. And after all that, with that whole McStay case, everybody was just like hanging on because we were hoping to find out exactly how. There were so many questions with this case. One is, where did the McStay case, where did it happen? Were they killed in the house? Were they killed one place and driven to another place? When did it happen? Was there more than one person involved? I mean, it's on and on, all these questions, right? And everybody was hoping that with the trial and everything that we'd finally get an answer that someone would come forward with a theory that finally would make sense, or maybe the person that was accused of this, Chase Merritt, maybe he would finally break down and say how he did what he did. But it never happened. It never did. We still, to this day, don't know how the family met their demise. We don't know if it happened in the house. We don't know if it happened in a storage area. We don't know if it happened right at the gravesite. We don't know. It's just a horrible, horrible case, and there was no conclusion to it other than the fact that Merritt was found guilty and he'll spend the rest of his life in jail. With the Gannon Stauch case, I believe it's going to go the same way. It'll probably be 4 or 5 years before eventually they'll have the trial. And we'll be waiting to hear some kind of theory, or for somebody to confess or something, or finally put the pieces together exactly what happened when Gannon was killed. But I don't think that's ever going to happen either. I don't think we're ever going to know. It's going to be one of those cases. There'll be theory after theory. People will be pitching, I know it must have been this, I know it must have been that, and what about this, and what about that? We're never going to really find out. I don't think we're ever going to have an answer to all our questions. So as time goes by, probably be a couple of years, they'll probably finally do the trial. And at that case, I'll go back to it and review it to let people know what's going on with the trial and everything. But until then, I think it'll be a couple of years before there'll be little tiny, small little inches of moving forward with this case. It's going to be a long, long time before this case is finally concluded. So those are my thoughts about it, and that's about it for today. Thanks everybody for watching, and see you again.